Welcome back to the Lonely Road. As always, we're here on your journey to heal and become a better human. And now that I'm thinking about this, probably should have said this beforehand. This one's probably going to go up on this Monday coming up. So that way it's more logical time wise instead of the one that is going to be scheduled for next week. But it is what it is. It'll
hmm
be okay. We'll figure it out. But how's it going, KJ? Welcome back. How's everything?
Going good, going good, going good, Just relaxing. It's been a crazy week. As
Yeah.
usual, crazy week.
Yeah.
Not as crazy as the past two. I think we found an apartment in the meantime, so that's good.
That's
And then, just
helping me
living
with my
life.
shit.
Yeah. There's everybody's got stuff, Just gotta get through it. Gotta get through it.
Yeah, and everything's been super, super active. It literally went calm for a week or two, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, we're starting back up.
Cheers.
Verlis looked at me the other week. He's like, Zach, you always started off with it's been a crazy week. Well, bud, I haven't had a calm week in like 2 fucking years. What the fuck are you talking about? It's
Yeah.
been hell. I can't say it's been a calm week. I can say it's been a calmer than normal week, but that's not entertainment at all. It's been fucking insane for like 18 months, if not more. But obviously with everything that's going on and everything else. I KJ brought this one up and I thought that it was an interesting topic, especially with if we scope it out more towards the end and stuff like that and talk about other things that you could feel this kind of problem with as well, which is the Diddy trial. And maybe we should start off with this. What did you expect to happen? Did you expect him to get hit with all the RICO charges? Did you expect him to be guilty of everything? Did you expect him to walk? Like where was your mind in all of this?
One thing that I don't do anymore in trials. I follow trials a lot now, and the one thing I don't do anymore is expect. Um,
Yeah.
I I follow the trial. I what I think. Do I think there were points that were met for Rico? I do. Do I feel like the prosecution was effective at making that clear to the jury? I don't 100% feel that way. Also, feel like there was like a holdout or two in the jury. Um, and with the influence and everything that's going on, there's a whole bunch of all other stuff going on in the trial. So you never know. Because he was allowed to do things in the courtroom that most defendants are not allowed to do. And it in terms of interacting with the jury. And I feel like that had a lot to do with them acquitting him on the charges that they acquitted him of. I am happy that he got some sort of guilty because he did horrendous things. Um, but I don't feel like the prosecution did their job completely, and I feel like maybe there was some corruption through the prosecution wanted it too much. Um,
Well, it's a home run win kind of thing. Like if you hit this and you just have to hit it right.
yeah,
It's a this is a life-changing case that absolutely dictates and changes everything you may ever touch again in your life. Even if it's the only thing you touch in your life. This could be your Robert Kardashian moment and you could walk away with absolutely everything.
yeah, I think they overshot their basket though. I mean,
To me, I thought the Rico was going to hit. With how many other things that they touched on and everything else, it seemed like it was so salacious and so in depth and so, oh, this happened and there was fucking proof of everything. And then you have his you know somebody he worked with and his girlfriend at the time talking about all of it and how she was prostituted and everything else. Like it seems so direct of like this is going to happen.
yeah,
It's just at what level. It seemed like once they started throwing out some of the charges, what was that, like a week ago? Maybe a week and a half ago. My time
yeah,
is so fucked up right now. When they threw out the charges towards Kid Cudi, when they
hmm
started throwing out all of those things, it seemed like that is when things started dropping. very similar in my case. Once my lawyer started being like, I'm not going to push for that. I don't want to push for that. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to push for that. Everything crashes because you're not like holding the standard of like, no, I was right when I said it. And when you're confident in what you say, it feels like almost like that's what the court wants, is like either hold them for all of the charges and figure out if they're guilty or not, or don't bring them at all. And there
Yeah.
needs to be a line there.
Yeah, I think there was I don't think it was one thing that I can point to. I think there was a multitude of different things, and it's very, very complicated, but I feel like there was a multitude of different things that happened during the trial with both sides that makes it pretty sketchy, to say the least. But Sean Combs is pretty sketchy, to say the least. But, talking about people's reactions, I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
The emotions are real. Some people feel betrayed, that things were not uh, prosecuted more heavily, that he wasn't guilty of more, or that they didn't charge correctly, or all different kinds of things. And obviously, there's some people that are relieved, fans, family. Um, the victims aren't relieved. Sure, because he could, very well get out of jail. I mean, he was denied his plea to get out on bail today. He actually plead to get out on bail today and just be restricted to his homes in Miami and LA and blah blah blah. And only be able to get on the private jets between the places and to go to court, and that's not any kind of punishment. And to be drug tested. So that was his basically. I didn't not reading it verbatim, obviously, but that was basically what he the defense gave the court. Look,
I'll do
let me out.
this.
Yeah, no, because so he can intimidate the people that just testified against him, so that he can be free to I don't know. I feel like he can still get some time in jail. He can get.
From what I've seen, it's 2 to 10 years, depending on if
Mhm.
they serve them consecutively or consistently.
And if they put charges for exacerbation charges, like he putting certain heat, like they can up the amount by the severity of the
Yeah.
charge. So he was apparently at a level higher of severity from some legal commentary that I was reading or listening to, that they can possibly make it, so 2 to 10 years sounds about what I would predict. Um,
Yeah, I would assume probably 3 with time served.
or, I mean, you have the judge is a Democratic appointee, so you have the also uh, uh there's a chance of him getting off with probation and time served. That's a possibility. Um, so I mean, it's right now. It's just waiting to see if he actually gets uh, any kind of any kind of time behind bars, because even though he wasn't found guilty on some of the charges, I believe he was guilty of them. I believe that they did tie it back to his organization enough. Um, but I think that they left out a lot of key uh of key evidence and a lot of key details and key witnesses they didn't bring for whatever reason. Like there was a he's been said to be the uh, Epstein of the record industry. And you wouldn't have a trial for Epstein without talking about Jelaine. So
Why wasn't J Lo there? Why wasn't Bieber there? Why
well, the
why
KK,
wasn't Usher there?
his right hand person. Yeah, why weren't all these people brought to testify? It's just so many things get suppressed by the defense that you can't tell a true story to the jury, and I think that sucks.
And I was told that all the time. And like I don't want to open up myself to massive problems, but I do want to talk about some of it. I remember being told, "Oh, if you give too much background, they're just going to say that it's hearsay. If you give too much information or before this date or before that,
Yeah.
you can't talk about it." And it's like, if you're talking about somebody's abuse, somebody's problem, somebody covering all of these situations, it's like, I can't just not talk about situations that prove exactly what's going on today. That's not how justice works. Like, I'm sorry, that's not justice. If I want to say that somebody abused me 15 fucking years and say that, hey, all of that proves that she ran me over with a vehicle at this point, guess what? Logically and legally, that should make a lot of sense to prove both of those points and connect them if there's enough proof. If I cycle in a circle and don't end up connecting it, and they're like, hey, Zach, that's not enough, strike it from the record. That makes more sense than just being able to object to everything because it doesn't connect. Sorry, you may not see that it connects, but somebody might be able to tell the story of why it does.
Yeah, so when you look at justice, you got to look at legal versus moral, because there's a big difference
Yeah.
between legal justice and moral justice. And you just touched on a lot of moral justice that should be happening, but is it provable? Is it
And I dealt
something
with
that
that with
they
my
can
dad too.
quantify? And that's what the justice system looks for. So, I mean, morally, he deserves to stay in jail for a really fucking long time, in my opinion, for all the things that came out on that stand that he was a party to, um, and
I
more.
wonder what the DV charges would be because there's lots. Like, there's
Oh,
video proof of lots. Like, I
yeah.
wonder how many years that would have been, because there's levels here where it's like, if it was just charged differently, they would be handling it in a much different way. And that's the crazy part, is like, there's so many different ways that this could have been looked at or seen as, and it would have changed and dictated a hell of a lot.
Yeah. And it's just like that's why a lot of people feel like justice wasn't served at all, even if he gets a couple years, because it's it's not it's a drop in the bucket for the crimes that he committed against women, against uh children. That didn't get brought into the the mix, but that's
Not even the
been.
gray area people like Bieber or Usher when he was, you know what I'm saying? And it's like
Yeah.
they just didn't even talk about it.
Yeah.
I
No, I mean, it
remember,
was.
I think it was like 2018, 2019, when New York changed a law, or it was federal, and they started wanting to go into the church, and they wanted to start going into the Boy Scouts and saying anything that happened in these organizations, hey, we're opening up the waves and allowing everything to crash. You're allowed to sue them now, and you are allowed to like start acting on childhood stuff and stuff like that. I remember filing against my dad. I filed all of the paperwork and everything else, and they looked at it and they're like, and they hired a private investigator to go look through all of his court documentation and everything else. And they're like, he's not worth anything. And that's the only part that mattered, not the justice. It was the fact that he wasn't worth anything. And it's just like,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I I get the point of view from both sides,
I
looking
do
at it.
too.
You have to. It's really it's difficult and it's hard when you can see things from 360 degrees. It's actually easier for me to be able to see both sides than just one side. It makes me less frustrated about things. Um, but I often wonder if you know, going back, circling back to why certain people weren't brought to the stand or whatever. Did it have anything, because him and NDAs and settlements? Was it because of NDAs that may have impacted the full airing of those facts? So the jury can't hear those, so they have doubt. Even one tiny reasonable hair ass of a doubt from one person, and that's it. Um,
Yeah. I'd
it
love to know what the voter numbers were.
I would too, and I'm sure that there'll be some reporting on that. A lot of times there's polls taken. I don't know. I didn't read the transcript from today, but um, it definitely uh, it definitely brings a pit in the bottom of my stomach for the survivors. They're going up against this fucking billionaire. And by like impossible odds now. And if these things happen again, which, honestly, if he gets a slap on the wrist, I expect that a personality like his is not going to stop doing what he's doing. Um, I know he's gone into court with the Bible, and I know he's, been, on his knees in the courtroom thanking God for, whatever. But I also know that a God fearing man doesn't act the way he has acted towards women and children, um, and other men out of jealousy and spite. So, I mean, it's tough. It's hard because of course he did nasty things. He did nasty things, but was he the top dog here? Or was he just a scapegoat, or uh was some other entity, bigger entity at play, bigger record executives,
Exactly. And it's so interesting to see the charges that he wasn't found guilty of. Is like, if you look at these, how is he not guilty of sex trafficking Cassie when there was
I
proof?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I I feel like that the the RICO charge I can absolutely reconcile in my brain, that it didn't make it. Um, Prior criminal acts would have to be substantial, but I do believe that they linked enough back to his to his enterprise, to Bad Boy, and his employees, of Bad Boy, or whatever enterprise they were employees of, whether they were his clothing company or here, there, whatever. I believe that enough was linked back, but here nor there. I can wrap my head around the RICO charge not sticking, but
And it seems like that's the one that
the,
dropped the sex trafficking.
the trafficking.
So it says the racketeering conspiracy, one count. The jury could not reach a unanimous verdict and declared themselves deadlocked on this charge. They reported unpersuadable opinions on both sides. So after 20 hours worth of talking about it, they're like, "Hey, it's okay. We'll just we'll throw it out at this point," because they couldn't meet the burden of proof for everybody to agree on either side.
Right.
I assume that when you can't prove the racketeering and the money being exchanged for the people, then it's not considered sex trafficking. So if one was going to be found guilty, they all were going to be found guilty, and I assume that's probably how they were looking at it. But it's still like it doesn't feel right. It doesn't
No,
sit right.
definitely doesn't. It definitely feels like there was a failure of the system, a power imbalance. I mean, money, fame,
I do like,
influence.
and this might sound weird, I do like how this was actually shown. If you look at this court case, it was very raw. All of the things were said,
Hmm.
and they weren't fucking segregated to not being able to say this or say that and everything else. Very, very similar to the Johnny Depp trial. But if you look at how, what the hell's his name? He's a fat little chubby motherfucker now on the right wing. He's the dude who shot the people in Kenosha. Can't think of his name. Completely blanked. Um,
Um, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
they portrayed him like a big piece of shit when they're not looking at any of the morality of it. They wanted to show it in like this one specific light, so that way it could possibly be thrown out. So that way it could possibly charge him with something
Kyle
instead of
Rittenhouse.
look Kyle Rittenhouse. It was like they wanted to look at it in only the light where he was a piece of shit, instead of showing the context of what it was. Doing the first step of it, of going across state lines with a gun, makes sense that that's a problem.
Yeah.
But if he's there already, okay, so what's the situation now? He shot two PDFs and somebody who was going to kill him.
Hmm.
As a whole, that's a huge step in the right direction logically and
And if you
legally.
watch, sorry, if you
Eh,
watched that trial, I watched every minute of that trial. If you watched that trial, they didn't prove. I mean, they didn't do what they needed to do to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he wasn't acting in self-defense, because they had video of it. There was a lot of video in that trial.
Yeah, it just seemed like in the Diddy situation, they were very raw about how they painted him. They
Mhm.
showed him like a monster even before the trial started, which was fantastic because personally, it was the raw facts of the case. That's
Yeah.
how he should have been painted.
Mhm.
Yes, you probably don't want to fucking show the court of public opinion and change the way everybody thinks. But if you're going to show these things, show them completely raw. Like stop just trying to have a political slant because of political. Like you don't have to. It's okay. Show it for the raw value. Even if somebody is a piece of shit and they were fucking meaningful for some period of time. Like you brought this up at the beginning. Like there are fans of people that love Diddy's music that absolutely are gonna be like, do I have to stop listening now? Can I just not go back to listen to Coming Home? I'm sorry. I hate Diddy. He's a piece of shit, but I'm still gonna listen to the song Coming Home.
Yeah, no,
I
I
love
mean,
the fucking song.
you're allowed to hold conflicting emotions. You can feel heartbroken for the survivors or love his music, and then feel shocked or hurt by, the fall of someone you thought was better, or know that he's a piece of shit. It takes a lot to, it takes a larger human to be able to have those conflicting emotions and be able to hold them, um, be able to hold them.
And like the even bigger one to me, and I'm sure yours is probably going to be Michael Jackson, but the bigger one to me is Kevin Spacey. I feel bad if he actually did those things. I feel fucking horrible. But can we chain him to a set and let him actually do the real season of House of Cards? I would love to watch it. Can we please finish it? Instead of firing him and getting him kicked off and saying that he can't do anything, even though he's not guilty of something.
Yeah.
Like, it's like at some point you're going to enjoy the things you enjoy. But now there's going to be fucking haves and have nots of being shit faced and fucked over because they like something.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You don't need to go along with the Joneses. You don't need to follow what the internet is doing, because the internet is just an animal of its own. And, I mean, honestly, you have processing grief, especially in a public or complex case like this. It means holding the space for the layered amount of them, the layered emotions that you're going to feel, the differences, the betrayal, the anger, the sadness, the confusion, all of it. Um, you know, you can you could name the loss, maybe the loss of trust in the public figure or the justice system itself. When you name what the loss is for you, you can then start that grieving process with it, because everything's really attached to that grieving process. And like I said, hold those conflicting emotions, get that out, and reconcile it within yourself. Um, but if you're really, really upset, limiting the exposure of how much you see of it now, that will help you to go over it. But really, you have to reconnect where spaces where your values are hit, where people actually, uh, the internet's not it. Sometimes media is not it, but this one, I believe that the media did get it right on. They're not
Yeah,
giving him excuses like they are politicians on a certain side of the aisle.
like I don't remember the Michael Jackson one, but it seemed like that one was really, really inconsistent, and it even still is. Like if you look at Netflix, there's documentaries about him being guilty, and there's documentaries about him being completely innocent,
Yeah.
and that he was just slightly weird, and he was playful because he was fucked over as a kid. And it's just like we'll never know because nobody was raw about it. And that to me is the important part. Like if you have 80% that that, hey, these are the facts, and we're not talking about feelings or thought process or like, how things happen. We're just saying, hey, this, and this happened. We're going to see how they play out. That's how it should be. Like, if we're going to openly speak about court cases before they start, we cannot be speaking on, what we think is going to happen or what we
Yeah.
think is because it just sets everybody up. Like, I understand that there are more people that are more emotional about everything than I am. I remember there were people, even in my grade or younger, that were crying when Farrah Fawcett and Michael Jackson died. I didn't even know who Farrah Fawcett was, and Michael Jackson was just the hold my hand guy on the radio. To me, like, as a whole, it's like, hey, if he did something, he's a piece of shit, and I really kind of don't care if he died. Like, why is everybody crying? And it's like, as a whole, it's kind of hard to grab both sides and understand it in a lot of different cases.
Yeah.
And it feels like this one's going to be one of those.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like honestly, when you look at it from 30,000 feet, like I like to say, it's not, this case isn't really about Diddy. I feel like it's about the structures and the institutions that protect people like him.
Yeah.
You know, work towards figuring out how to rectify that, push for the change to rectify that, get people in, um, you know, to positions to be able to change things like that. Right now, it's very easy to feel helpless um, with the way this particular case shake down. But I think you might be right that the trafficking charges may have been linked too much to the RICO. But I really feel like, by her own admission, she was passed around again and again and again and again and beaten if she wouldn't comply. So I don't know what part of that isn't trafficking.
Exchange of money. If they couldn't prove that there was an exchange of money,
So
that's
that was the
probably the answer.
prostitution part.
Yep. That's what trafficking is. It's trading
Yes.
people for money and services. It's just
They
it's insane to look at because, like, honestly, even being a 31-year-old man, I'm looking at this situation and it's like, if this wasn't enough to prove guilt, and tomorrow we go back to court or we handle something tomorrow, it's like, what is proof enough to handle something like this? Obviously, I hope nobody that is listening to this show or on the internet ever deals with anything this level. But, like, as a whole, we know at some point somebody's going to deal with something, and it's like, at what level is the proof? You have to have pictures of it being done. You can't have five people that fucking collaborate the same story.
You can't
You
fucking
can't
tell
have
me
this
there's not
happening.
pictures. You can't tell me there's not pictures. I know damn well there's video for days of shit that went on. And I think that's why he got knocked on the prostitution. He couldn't not, they couldn't not find him guilty of something with all that was there,
Yeah.
of one of the charges. It's crazy. I really hope that, you know, this is really going to blow up trust in the judicial system as far as celebrities are concerned, because right now there's a big distrust in the judicial system altogether. But put celebrities and people with a lot of money in there, and it's the distrust is through the roof.
And it
But like,
connects the story of Ghislaine Maxwell. It
yeah,
connects the story of Epstein. It connects the protection of all three of them.
yeah,
It's, we're not
and
going to look at you in a light that is not accepted. It's like, we're not showing everything.
it's okay to have those real conversations. I mean, maybe not on the internet with the internet, and I call the people of the internet the internet. It's almost
Yeah.
like the people of Walmart to me. Is worse, way worse than the people of Walmart. But the internet is a fucking crazy place, and let me just tell you that you can't really have these kind of conversations with people on the normal people on the internet, like people yeah, you can. But in order to get through something like this, you have to really be willing to have those conversations, talk about the power, talk about the imbalances and the gender and the race and the justice, that it don't gossip about the headlines, but the facts of the case, and do it with people that you can trust not to take the things that you say out of context and call you and hurl a bunch of names at you because they don't have the brain power to say things in normal vocabulary. So just hold those conversations for people who you you can trust to have those conversations with. Don't just go on the internet and spout off, because that really doesn't help you in your ability to get through whatever you're going through with, if whether you find this justice or injustice or whatever the case is.
And I think honestly, regardless of whether you think he should be guilty or innocent, honestly, the fact that he was proven guilty on some and they feel like they didn't meet the availability on others proves that at least at some point, in some way, this is justice. It may not be enough, it may not be equal, but it is some.
Yeah, it's disheartening. It's disheartening. I really feel like to a lot of people, it's disheartening because a lot of like the OJ, he got scot free away with fucking Minecraft. It's crazy. It's crazy what people, but at the same time, like, I mean, just skipping around, Brian Kohlberger just pled guilty of 4 murders out in Idaho. That's a whole nother story. But he went from building this huge defense and
Is
having
that the kids or is that the firefighters?
the no the kids that got, I think it was 2023. He went in and to a University of Idaho frat house or
Oh,
party
okay.
house or whatever, and he killed
So
4
many things
students.
happening in Idaho for some reason.
Now, yeah, exactly. It's but he went in today and pled guilty to all 4 and burglary, which is entering the house. So he now he just gets life sentences because they gave him the plea if the prosecution would take the death penalty off the table. So now there's that case, and it's all crazy. So the internet's up in arms right now over law.
You
Um,
know what I wish, and this might not be an answer to fix it, especially because you don't know the human condition, and you can't really tell if somebody's being honest or not. But if you're honest and the guilty or not guilty, if you're found guilty and you say, "Hey, I'm guilty," if it automatically reduced your sentence by 20% by being honest and not like I'm accepting fucking myself by saying I did this. Let's find out at what level I did this. You automatically reduce your sentence in 20%. That to me makes a lot of sense
yeah,
because
I'm
I I would rather deal with fucking insane people that are honest than liars that are fucking weird.
well, for him it was the difference between being killed by a firing squad and spending the rest of his life in jail.
Yeah.
So
And
he
that's a logical answer. Like
yeah.
that's a logical difference. But like even in smaller cases, like a DWI or something like that, oh, you have 5 years in prison, or you could have a year in prison and you have to drive with this thing if you just admit that you did it.
Yeah, think
And
imagine that. Imagine people get like 5 years for like second, third offense DWIs, but Diddy's possibly gonna skate or get less than 5 years for all the shit that he did.
he didn't admit to any of it.
No.
He was just found guilty. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the part to me is like, if you don't admit and you're found guilty, you shouldn't get the fucking defense of like, oh, you get less.
No.
You shouldn't get a chance at getting a plea. But if you did it and you know you're going to be found guilty of it, admitting you did it is the part of repairing. Like, to me, I am such a
It's the accountability.
fundamentalist with not only what the accountability is, but what the prison system and everything was supposed to be. It was supposed to be reformation. It was supposed to be putting you back together to build you up to be a better person, regardless of if that was drugs, not being able to pay your bill. Like, regardless of what the problem is, it's supposed to make you a put back to the way you were supposed to be before, not worse.
Yeah.
So admitting and starting with that accountability step one is what you should do.
Yeah, I don't see that out of Diddy. I don't see that ever coming from him. I don't think that I mean, I think the closest thing to accountability that Diddy uh is seeing is the amount of time that he's been in jail. Like, I think it's been like 10, 11 months or something of that nature. And like the fact that he um you know the only accountability that he has it's crazy. I don't see it. I don't see him ever saying that he did things that he did. Never mind all the. I just find that trash needs to be taken out.
Yep.
I just really hope that the judge doesn't let him skate completely with time served, because that would be.
From ChatGPT's expectation of it is it thinks that everybody's going to take this as a partial win and there's not going to be a retrial, which I don't want to say I agree to, but I kind of expect it. Like, that's kind of what I expect them to do. And that they're probably going to get 2 to 4 years with good time.
I don't think that there'll be a retrial. I mean, he might appeal uh, the two guilties, or the guilties, but he would be dumb not to. Usually they do appeal, but I, it's just I don't know. I'm still, as you can tell, at a kind of a loss about it. I haven't had time to process all of it. I've been working basically right up until we got on this, but I don't know. I have to kind of throw it around a little bit more. Don't think it was justice for the victims. I don't really feel like Cassie wanted all of the bullshit that she was handed. Neither do I think Jane Doe did. Um, I think
I
that it
don't
was
think these people want to stick their head out and say
no.
these things happened to me and have everything that they did or that they had happened to them paraded around in front of everybody without there being a reason for it.
That's why victims
Like,
dropped like flies. They
no, that's the like, and I understand my case was not fucking Diddy, but that's the reason why at 11 and 12 years old, I was afraid to come forward at all. I was afraid to be told, oh, it's what you're seeing on TV. It's all of this stuff. It's the reason why I support my kids in the way I do, is because I didn't want them to feel that way either. It's like you feel like you're against the entire world because all these people are hearing something shitty that happened to you. Like, imagine that on a mass scale. It's millions of people that are tuning in every single day to see this. And it's even at a crazier level. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane.
yeah, the massive these are massive cases. Um and it's crazy because it's now what next? One of my friends is always saying what next? What next? What next? So like what next? He maybe he goes to jail for a couple years, maybe time served and a year or so, up to 5 years, whatever the case is. Big fines, big penalties. But does he stop his behavior? Does he repent? Does he make different choices going forward when he gets out? Do I think that's going to be the case? Absolutely not. I think that they get bored with the amount of money that they have, and they need to do things that other people can't do.
Exactly. And it becomes such a thing where it's like, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. What's going to happen?
it's the same exact thing with the Epstein trial. It's the same exact thing with everybody that wanted to look at Bill Clinton or Trump or whoever. And my response is the same always. Yes, look into it completely. I have zero problem with you looking into it completely and exposing everything that's gone on. But don't just sit there and pick and choose where you want to look in. Why haven't we seen the Epstein list? Why are we never going to see the fucking Diddy list? We're never going to see these people are the victims. These people are the ones that did it. We're never going to see one to one exactly what happened. We're only ever going to see that Diddy was charged and only faced 2 years.
Yeah.
Epstein was charged and served months in jail and then hung himself. Ghislaine Maxwell has been put on absolute silent watch. Why?
Yep.
Why?
So October 3rd. October 3rd is the date that he gets sentenced. And he's in jail until then because they denied his plea to get out of jail. even taking his passport, which I agree with. I thought they were going to let him go home. That was going to be like the brick in my stomach. That's the only thing that's keeping me hopeful that he's going to get some jail time, is that they're keeping him in jail. Because if they let him go, just to put him back in jail, that doesn't make much sense at all. So I really feel like there's going to be some kind of jail time for the crimes that he has done, that he's been convicted of.
He tried running. Why wasn't he convicted of that?
Well, because they didn't prove that. They can't. They can't prove that he said
I'm
he
sitting
gave an
on a private
excuse for
jet.
that. Yeah,
You
no.
know what I'm saying? It's
I
crazy.
understand. You and I understand. There's so many of those type situations in this goddamn case. That's why I okay on the racketeering, but on the other ones, I really yeah. It's just
Honestly,
crazy.
it doesn't sit right with me, but I can understand where they got their point. If
I
I'm right where those three things were connected, and if he got connected on Rico, the other two dropped, I completely understand. But SA, how is he not convicted of SA? Like actively SA.
yeah.
That's what trafficking would be. That's what prostitution would be, is just receiving money for those things. So technically that would be SA if it's unwanted. It sounded a hell of a lot like Cassie did not want it.
Or the other witness. So I don't I'm not sure, but I don't think this is the end of things for him. I think that there's going to be more, because I mean, honestly, there's been other charges brought and dropped. The little Rod case, there was just a bunch of cases brought and dropped, that I just don't think this is the last one.
Well,
Um,
Bieber's had a crash out. He's openly had a crash out, very similar to what happened with Aaron Carter a few years ago. Like he's crashing right now. Why is he crashing openly when Diddy's on trial? Because things are actively being fucking looked at. And
mhm,
he was one of the victims openly.
yeah,
He was left there by his parents and Usher for a full entire week that we know about. There's videos that were released.
yeah,
There was a kid that was given to Diddy literally in the past couple of years. He quoted and said that was his white kid.
yeah, yep. Where is she? From what I
Where's
understand, he sold her. Yeah, that's from what I understand, he sold her.
allegedly?
So allegedly, exactly. So I hope that this case there's a lot of shit with this piece of trash that doesn't sit with me. Kim Porter's death, his baby mama's death, getting people around him all of a sudden just d- listen. He is guilty of a
Where's Jay
lot
Z?
of stuff, and I hope that this brings light to a lot of other things that aren't past statute of limitations, because I really
Honestly,
feel
honestly, I think that if they said, "Ah, fuck it, this is what we can stick him on,"
mm,
and they brought J Lo in, they brought Jay Z in, and they brought Beyonce in, and looked at all three of them as well, because we know that they're all connected to the other shit that's gone on, and all four of them 8 charges instead of just one person falling. I think the entire public would completely agree and be okay. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to walk.
yeah, but I believe this opened the door for and I don't think he's the only one. I don't think that I think that he might be, like I said, I just don't think he's the only one, and I think that this is going to open the door for others, and we'll see what happens, what's next. But take care of
Guys,
yourself. You know,
absolutely.
however you're feeling,
Mm,
take care of yourself with it. Like, get through the feelings. Don't just argue with the person that doesn't agree with you on the fucking internet. Go touch some grass and get through it.
and realize it can be okay. Like this doesn't actively dictate something that happened in your life unless you're one of the victims. And I know that sounds dismissive. I'm not trying to be, but as a whole, that's exactly what it is. You shouldn't be, feeling like everything's crashing because something didn't go the way you assumed it was going to. It's okay. And it's okay that it didn't go the way you assumed it to. It didn't go the way I assumed it was going to. But I also didn't have emotions towards it. I just kind of logically saw that all the points were pointing towards completely guilty, and I knew he was going to get off. That's what I expected to happen. I expected everything and then nothing. But guys, this is a lonely road. We all fucking walk it. And it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Regardless of what happens tomorrow, regardless of what happens the next day, regardless of if you have court tomorrow, next week, anything. The only person that can keep taking those steps is you. Realize it can be okay. Realize you can fix it. Realize you can change it if you feel like it. Maybe if you get the fuck out of bed and actually do the things that you need to do, you won't lose everything. Or you're going to keep being a lazy piece of shit. We'll see you fucking next time.